Welcome back to another episode of Buffalo Happy Hour. Mike, you're all smiles today, bud. Destiny is all.
Yes.
What's that about?
It's a shirt from one of the greatest shows to ever exist, The Last Kingdom.
Oh. Is that new?
The shirt or the show?
No, the shirt.
The shirt's new. Yes, it was a gift. It was a gift. But yes, if you're a Last Kingdom fan, I'm wearing a shirt from the show. If you don't watch the show, you probably should because it's fantastic. But yeah, so we're going to start today off with a group of facts, and then we're going to dive into today's episode. So if you are new here, please like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and this video. Also, please leave a review on our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever else you can leave a review. Please do that because it will greatly help us in the, grand scheme of algorithms, I suppose. So thank you for all your support as well. You can find us on the Buffalo Happy Hour on Facebook and the Buffalo Happy Hour 12 on Instagram. Moving forward, our facts of the day. The coldest temperatures ever recorded occurred in Antarctica. Take a guess at how cold you think the coldest temp ever recorded was.
I don't know, but I probably could have guessed that it was at Antarctica.
Well, right.
The coldest temp ever recorded. Are we talking Fahrenheit or Celsius?
Fahrenheit in the year 2018.
Good, because I don't know the conversion. So I would have guessed like 40 Celsius, and you'd been like, that's the hottest day ever recorded. So coldest day ever recorded in Fahrenheit. Let's see. I know Michigan has gotten down to like minus 35, so it has to be much lower than that. I'm going to go minus 63.
Cute. Negative 144.
What? Really?
Is reported by researchers in a scientific journal in 2018 as the coldest temperature ever recorded on Earth. The hottest, because you can't do cold without hot.
Obviously.
So was recorded in Furnace Creek.
Is that in where Furnace Creek?
Yep, Furnace Creek is a specific location within. I'm sure
Nevada?
You can. Close.
Arizona?
Death Valley, which is in California.
Oh, right, okay.
And it was recorded.
That's the hottest recorded temperatures in America?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's Death Valley.
Well, yeah, but you would think that maybe a country literally right on the equator would be hotter.
It was recorded on July 10th, 1913.
So the hottest temperature recorded was a bajillion years ago, but the coldest temperature recorded was 3 days ago, basically, and we're concerned about global warming. Anyway, I'm just kidding. I know it has nothing to do with temperature. I get it. It was a joke, people. We're a comedy podcast.
So, right. So, take a guess. In Fahrenheit, the hottest temperature ever recorded.
144.
No, you just took the same number and went the other way.
Correct.
It was 134.
Oh, okay. See, I was
Fahrenheit.
close.
Yes, you were
closer
close.
this time than I was the last time.
Yes.
I know that Arizona and stuff has gotten up to 120 recently.
Right.
Like within the last 10 years.
Well, that's because things are on fire.
Well, correct, yeah. I bet it's super hot where the wildfires are.
Yes, probably.
Yeah.
So, today's episode, we're doing things different. I have a list of 11 questions, 12 actually, for you.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because all you do is drill me with questions. So, the first question.
Pass. Next.
What is your opinion on lighthouses?
They're necessary. Next question.
Is that your real answer?
No, I mean, we've talked about this during our Hatazaki Japanese whiskey review. If you haven't watched that, go back and watch that. That was probably one of our best ones. And for some reason, it blew up. Like, we've got close to 1,000 views on that, I think. For no reason.
Yeah, something wild.
There was like a time during that lifespan of that video that it jumped like 35 or 40 views in a matter of 20 minutes. And I'm like, all right, the Chinese are catching on.
Yeah.
There's no way that Americans are really that concerned about Hatazaki whiskey. But lighthouses, I love them. I think that they're necessary, but they're cool. Every lighthouse is different, and it's cool to see how different lighthouses are constructed and the history of them, if they're still operational, if they're an attraction now, and what water they're next to. I enjoy it. That's why I love Cape Cod. I traveled around Cape Cod to look for lighthouses, and I was thoroughly disappointed when I did not find as many as I wanted to. I thought Cape Cod, you would be seeing them everywhere, dude, on every little peak. there was like 4.
Right.
One in Montauk, which is the big one, but that was like 4-hour drive. And then there was another one.
There's a pond. How come there's not a lighthouse here?
Right. But yeah, so I love them. I love lighthouses. They're pretty cool. And I love light. I love lamp.
I love lamp. Okay. Who is the best distillery in the States?
Stateside. What is the best distillery?
Your opinion.
Depends on what our grading scale is. Is it quality of product, or are we talking more like reputational? Like what's the grading scale?
Whatever you think. You can take a blend of both. Whatever you want.
I would think my personal opinion, that the best distillery in the States has to be Buffalo Trace, because there's such a history there, and they are creating products that range from entry level to the most expensive bourbon whiskey that you can literally ever buy.
Right.
So they have a range of products. All of it is very consistent. I don't really like going Kentucky with that answer, because I just don't want to continue giving Kentucky the clout that it doesn't deserve. I'm just kidding. Again, it does deserve it. But if we have to go the best distillery, it has to be in Kentucky, because that's basically where whiskey started. And
bourbon.
Yeah. Well, whiskey in general in the United States, that's kind of where it started.
Yeah.
So I would probably go Buffalo Trace just because of that fact. There is one distillery out in Vermont or something. It starts with an L. And that was the one that I wanted to go, like when we were talking with that woman from the production company. I wanted to go there because I just love the history on it. And I can't remember what it's called, but it's the distillery that first provided George Washington and his troops their distilled spirit, which was like an apple whiskey. And that's sweet just because of the history aspect of it. If we're going quality of product right now, my favorite whiskey in the States, that's another tough question. I would honestly...
Tough questions.
Yeah, this is a very tough question. While I think about this, what would yours be? Do you already have one in mind or no?
No.
No? Nailed it.
This is your section, bro.
Well, yeah, I know, but I thought that maybe you would want to tune in a little bit, huh?
You grill me every episode.
I don't grill you. I throw hypothetical questions out there to see if we can discuss answers.
So if
it's not an interview.
So if stateside whiskey was floating on your tongue, which one would you want floating there?
Jeez. Oh, golly gee. I don't know, man.
I mean, to be fair, the single barrel from Devil's River was incredible.
Yeah. I would... This is going to be sucking up, but I would probably... well, we were talking distillery where they actually make their product. I was going to say a 3-quart, but they're not a distillery. They're a blending manufacturing company.
Right.
So I wouldn't even consider that. I don't know. And there's also so many distilleries that you and I have never even touched.
Correct.
Or ever even know.
Correct.
So yeah, based off of the 100 episodes that we've done so far, 101, today's our 101st episode. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate you tuning in.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point. So that we've had on our show.
Then I would say Devil's River.
Okay.
They have, one, been awesome to us, providing us with different items.
Yeah.
They have a single barrel that was fantastic, and their Distiller's Select was probably to die for.
Yeah.
I would have that every single day.
Yeah.
If we're talking favorite like New York State product, I would honestly probably go St. Lawrence. They're new, but their stuff was so buttery, man. I had a glass of their rye again the other night. I'm like, I can't believe that they're still putting out such good quality product that is so buttery.
Yeah.
Being so young.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
I can't wait to see what they do if they ever release like an old, like a very old product. Yeah. Like if they do a 15 or 20, I will take off work that day. I'm telling you.
Also, to correct myself, instead I said small batch, or I'm sorry, single barrel. What I meant to say was they're small batch, but also the Distiller Select for Devil's River.
Yeah.
What is your go-to drink, alcoholic or not?
I tell everybody this, including my doctor, and he looked at me and he's like, you should probably do something else.
Yeah.
But
you have 3 drinks.
3 drinks. That's it. Coffee, water, whiskey. That's all I drink. I do drink beer occasionally. Actually, I had a really good sour beer the other day that was very delicious. But in general, I try not to drink beer. It makes me feel bloated, and I'm trying to stick to my feminine physique. So I try to stay away from that stuff. But, I mean, I would probably say whiskey. And if we're going to go even more specific than that, then scotch. just because I feel personally that there's more deviations in the flavor notes that you pick up from Scotch than you do whiskey, especially American stateside bourbon. For bourbon, I can't really tell a ton of difference between each product. I know that there's nuances that you can tell the difference of, but in general, a lot of bourbon have the same tasting notes, and Scotch is very different, so I like Scotch more. But water, man, I'll tell you what, water is the best thing in the entire world. I drink so much water, I couldn't even tell you the last time anything that came out of my body was anything looking like mellow corn, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It is so clear because all I do is drink water. That's it. And it has to be cold, right out of the fridge. And it has to, like, talking about degrees, it has to be like 33 degrees Fahrenheit, because if it's frozen, obviously I can't drink it. But if it's anything higher than that, it just doesn't taste good. Which is interesting to me because you know that, I'm just going off on tangents now. You got me answering questions. I'm going to answer them correctly, all right? It's not going to be like necessary. Next question. When it comes to anything you drink, if it's cold, like the more extreme the temperatures get, the less your tongue can taste. So why does cold water taste better than warm water when water doesn't have any flavor anyway?
I have no clue. If you buy a bed that's larger than your current bed, you gain bedroom, but you also lose bedroom.
Why do you drive on a parkway and park on a driveway?
Well, right. It's all the same thing.
It's semantics, man.
If you're waiting for your waiter, does that make you the waiter?
Yeah,
You know?
it does.
It's annoying. Why is Brad Marchand such a rat?
Marchand.
That dude sucks. So why is he
really
such a
one of your
rat?
questions?
Yes, a fan submitted the question, so I'm
Did he?
asking. These are all fan-based questions.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
I have like 13 of them.
Good. And what are we on right now? 4 or 5?
4 or
Something
5.
like that?
I don't know. We're just rolling.
So Brad Marchand is an interesting figure.
The dude's a pleb.
But he's one of the best hockey players to ever play in Boston. He is so good.
He's a better.
And what's good about him is that he is a team player, and he'll do anything for his team. He isn't the type of dude that will take the puck from one end of the ice to the other and score on his own. Like Jamie, what's his last name? Tart from Ted Lasso.
Or
Not like
Gretzky,
him.
or Ovechkin,
Yeah.
or Eichel.
Yeah, exactly. So
Is it because he's not capable of doing it, or because he's just not that kind of guy?
he's just not that kind of guy. He has a
Okay.
crazy shot. But what people don't like about him is that he's a cheap kid. He's a cheap kid. Like, he'll high stick you when the ref's not looking, like that type of a player. But that's Boston. I mean, if you go back to like the Stanley Cup days of 2012, you got Milan Lucic just cross-checking you in the back. Like, it's a dirty team. That's why I like them, is because they're not out here doing pirouettes like the Sabres are, not touching the puck because they're scared of it. They're actually playing good hockey. But Brad Marchand, a couple years ago, he had that whole stint of where he was licking people's faces in the playoffs.
Yeah,
It was
he's
the
weird.
weirdest thing in the world.
Yeah,
Even I was like, dude, what are you doing?
It's
And I think
strange.
that's actually how COVID started, to be honest.
probably.
It was Brad Marchand licking people's nose. But yeah, he's a weird looking dude, but he's so good. And he always is on top of the leaderboard of like stats and everything, specifically because he has significantly more assists than he does goals, because he's a team player. And he knows his role. He sets everybody up because he's like gets around everybody and then passes to an open man, and then it's just a goal. It's a good time.
Okay. Was your voice always this deep? And at what age did it become this deep? I almost didn't want to ask you this because I want you to be able to fit out of the door leaving,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
here we are.
My voice has always been this deep.
Baritone.
Yeah, for the most part. State Farm, man. Are you in good hands? Like that type of guy. My voice has always been deep. I don't really know. I didn't really have that like weird stage where my voice cracked all the time. I never had that.
So you went from 12 to 40.
Correct.
Perfect.
And then that's just where I stayed.
Okay.
And that's how I looked too. I mean, right when I was 12, I didn't have a beard. 13, my voice dropped. I got like a full facial hair, and I was just like, I'm this kid now. I graduated.
Anybody want Budweisers? I'll just go buy beer.
Yeah, it's always been pretty deep. I did chorus for a while. You and I talked about that.
Yeah.
And it was,
You were the bass.
yeah, I was the bass. But I do have a lot of voice inflections. Like, I can change my voice. There's some
can.
people out there, and this is a pet peeve of mine. And I understand people aren't good
go.
singers.
Here
I
we
get
go.
it. I get it. But if you're singing and you think you're the shit, what are you looking at here?
Our time.
Oh, 15 minutes. Look at that.
See, I could feel it in my bones
Yeah.
after 101 episodes.
If you think you're a good singer and you're trying to sing in your monotone, maybe just stop singing. It's the most frustrating thing in the world because you actually make my bones shake.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
But yeah, I like my deep voice. People don't think that I can go deeper, but I can. And it's a fun time.
Okay. Rate the following products.
Ooh.
Worst to best.
Okay.
Fireball. Wicked Pickle. Stillhouse.
Ooh, that's a good one. What's Stillhouse?
The one we've had.
Okay. Oh, God. I would probably say Fireball would be the worst because it's so readily available and so many people think it's good. So that's my thing of why I hate that one the most. Okay, is it hate or just flavor based? Which one do you...
Probably flavor based.
Okay, flavor based, then I'm changing it up. It's going to be Stillhouse, then Fireball, then Wicked Pickle. In that order.
Wicked Pickle the best?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
There was like that saltiness to it.
Yeah.
And for like that's just not a flavor that I tasted in whiskey before. The Stillhouse was just like, why would ya? That type of stuff. Like you poured it and then you smelled it and then you tasted it and you're like, they tried to make this good and it flopped. So that's why that's the worst.
Yeah.
Fireball is like, okay, I get it. Like you're in college, you're just turned 21 because we don't condone underage drinking. But you just turned 21 and you're like, I'm gonna go get whiskey. I'm gonna get weird tonight. And then you just break out the Fireball and then it's just why? So but that's like it can taste good if you're young. Stillhouse never tastes good.
No.
Especially that whiskey, which was the black cherry that we had. And then the Wicked Pickle was just like, they knew that this wasn't, like, they didn't go make this. And they're like, this is going to be a hit. They went and they're like, this is going to be unique. People are going to appreciate it because it's unique. And then never buy it again. So I appreciate that.
Okay. All right. Since you alluded to it, do you think the drinking age should be 18, 19, 20, or 21, or higher, and why?
I'm going to go with the typical argument of it should be 18 because if you can fight for your country, you should be able to have a drink when you're home.
Amen. Moving on.
That's just, it doesn't make any sense, especially because it started younger with our parents' generation, and we always hear about it as, the drinking age was 18 when I was your age. It's like, great, sweet, thanks. But I don't know why. Like, you can start driving at 16 or 15, depending on the state. You know that you shouldn't drink and drive. Your frontal cortex isn't developed until you're 25 anyway, so I don't understand why it has to be 21. Like, if you're going to make it a risk-based decision based off of the maturity of the person, then why go to 21? 21 doesn't mean anything. Go to 25 when your frontal brain is finally developed.
Well, liberals. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, really.
I'm kidding.
So,
kidding.
Not really, but so I would say 18 because I feel like, just like I said, you can vote, you can die for your country, you should be able to have a glass of whiskey and be responsible about it. They're not lowering or raising the drinking age because they think that you're going to die in a car crash. They're probably doing it for some different reason.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what we should do? We should dive into it. Research-wise, and then we'll circle back.
Why? Oh God! Okay, Jen Psaki.
So,
why it was 18? Why it moved to 21? Just the whole topic. Okay, put it on the show notes for next week. Not next week next week.
Okay,
we have time next week.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Jesus. Would you guys ever teach any bourbon events or classes?
Oh, funny you should mention that because yes, we would. We would like to market ourselves. And this is not a canned question, I can guarantee you that. But we have been in talks with different people throughout the Buffalo area that specialize in hosting events, specifically our friends over at Addie's Wine and Spirits, because they host quite a bit of events ranging from wine nights, whiskey nights, charcuterie nights, pairing it up with different foods and everything like that. So we have talked to them about marketing ourselves for that specific way.
Avenue.
And I think that we would be good at it. There is a growing whiskey market. There's a growing need for people to understand whiskey a little bit more. We are certified bourbon stewards, so it does make sense that we talk about it because we do know more than the average Joe Schmo coming out of Fireball. And also, we're not going to charge you $14,000 for an event. So We have talked about it. We are developing our prices right now. So if you are interested or you do have an event coming up or you want something for the holiday time, reach out to us because we will do an event. Obviously, we can't do it for free. We have to do some sort of charge to it. But it obviously will be very reasonable for you guys, for our time, for your time, and then the educational purposes as well. So we have talked about it. Stay tuned for announcements coming up in the future.
Worst first date you've ever had?
Worst first date I've ever had.
What's crazy is I don't think you and I really, dated. Is that bad to say? Because we kind of didn't.
I don't.
We were kind of just focused on what we were doing when we were single. And then, not to, speak for you, but we kind of had similar... we were rowing the same boat.
Yeah.
I mean, so, we were single, we were doing our thing, and then if a woman ended up...
If a suitor came to us...
Yeah, and then flocked its wings, then we flocked our wings. And we kind of knew within the first month if it was worth it.
Yeah.
And then if it wasn't, French Revolution.
Yeah.
That's kind of it. You just move on.
Yeah, I was never that guy. I mean, diving into that, I have basically worked full-time since I was 16. And from that point, working full-time and going to school full-time, I had zero time to mess around with anything. I had some shitty relationships, don't get me wrong, but it was never like this, I'm going to meet you at the bar, we'll have a one-night thing, and then I'm out. That was never me. It never was me. It never would be me. Regardless of the situation that I was ever in, I was too focused on building my own career and building me. Here's the thing that I always grew up with. And
Here
this
it is.
Yeah,
Here
you're
it
getting me all
is.
fired up because we're talking about etiquette and just being the best you. And it bothers me a lot. I think I even said this on one of the first podcast episodes, you'll never see me without a collared shirt on. And that was my thought for the majority of my life until I got a career, because you can run into somebody at the grocery store that would be your boss one day, and if they see you in Hello Kitty pajamas or SpongeBob onesie or something because you think you're cool going to the store, that's going to resonate with people. Your first impression sticks a lot. So I was always even if I'm going to the store, I'm going to throw on a collar. I'm going to throw on a polo.
Then why are you friends with me?
Right. Well, you share that same thing. You're a nice dude, and you put on a good professional attitude, and that's great. You and I are the same when it comes to that.
All lies.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I thought you said all rise at first. But yeah, so I never was like that because I was always my reputation means much more to me than one crazy night with some psychopath. So I never really had a bad first date.
Well, but we've never really gone on first dates with, it's...
Well, everything has been a first date. Everyone that we've dated was a first date at one point.
Yeah, but they weren't bad because we dated them. You know how people live in the dating world and they don't actually develop relationships. They just go on first dates and then they just call it quits and then try again. And it's a revolving door of first dates. We never really had that experience.
So let me throw something back to you. At what point do you consider it a fling or a date? I'm seeing someone or I'm going on a first date with them.
If it's an agreed, so a fling could incorporate a group. So say you're all coworkers and then you kind of have a thing for each other, but don't really do anything about it. And then you and all your coworkers go out. After that, couple days go by, you're all at work talking about, that was fun that, couple nights ago. And then on the side, in person, it's determined, hey, I did have a lot of fun. Did you just, next Thursday, do you want to go somewhere and just relax and get dinner after work because work sucks? And it's just yeah, absolutely. And then if it's agreed upon, then, and a couple of those flings with groups happened before, and then you have a set determined, okay, let's try this, then that would be the first date, in my opinion. But it's all relative. You could also just walk up to somebody that you're into and just be like, hey, do you want to go out to dinner on Friday? Mm-hmm. And then that would be the first date. But that's just kind of how I look at it.
So something scheduled, more or less, that it's just the two of you?
Yeah. But I I don't know. I guess we're just studs, and we never had that issue. They just came flocking.
I did have some awkward encounters with a potential suitor when I was in high school. But, like, we went to the movies, and it was just like, all right, it was sweet. Bye. Because you're just weird. But, like, it wasn't nothing, like, crazy.
Yeah. I'm trying to word it correctly. It's not like the date was bad, where the date, whoever it was, the potential suitor, who was asking to be bound by contract, looked at me and said, I only watch anime, the earth is flat, and I smack my lips when I chew. Like, that never occurred.
Right.
I never had, like, a really bad first date. It was always just kind of like a vibrant energy, and you just instantly know, like, okay, you're not, I just don't click with you at all.
Because we go after like-minded people.
Yes. You know, we're just kind of, we keep our circles small.
Have you ever tried to go outside your norm to see what it would be like living on the other side?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, it was horrible in that regard. Because then it just kind of further cements, like, I don't want any of, like...
Right, yeah. But I feel like you have to try it out to know what you want. Like, you have to figure out, like, there's a scale of people, like a wide range of people. And when you're younger, if you're with, like, somebody that's very conservative and, like, not fun... That's a bad word to say, but conservative and like nothing crazy ever happened. You might want to experience something a little crazy to know that, okay, you belong on this side. I've had that happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But now we're back to that conservative side.
Right.
Because I think that's where you should be. That's where your life should end up. Is having fun, having a good time, but you know that it's stable.
Yeah. You have an awesome date night, but then you're still in bed by 9.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. What is your stance on Elon Musk? Do you believe / support his vision for a better future that will be brought to us through his neurotechnology, Neuralink, and space exploration?
For him personally, yes. Do I think that Jeff Bezos deserves to have a $1 billion yacht and then also try to create a rocket ship to go to Mars when he has no experience in it? No. So there's an argument to be said that they're wasting their money trying to go to Mars when they can help real issues on Earth and in the U.S., which I understand and I get it. But Elon's doing it for the right reasons. I think Jeff Bezos is doing it to flash his money. So Elon Musk, I actually really like. He's a very interesting person. He is not a typical person, like, whatsoever. I mean, he has come out, he is autistic, and he thinks of things very differently than a normal person. Neuralink, I think, is very interesting in itself. It scares me a little bit because it'd be weird to, like, non-verbally communicate with people because our whole thing right here is to communicate verbally with each other. But there is a place for it. Like, I have somebody that is close to me that isn't able to speak, and it would be very interesting to know what they're thinking when they can't verbally say it. So in that aspect, it would be really cool. But he's talking about, like, getting rid of the need for verbal communication completely. And that's scary because then you can read people's thoughts. And people's thoughts are a deep and dark area.
At least I'm safe inside my mind.
Yeah, at least I'm safe inside my mind. But it could help certain people in certain situations. So it depends on how that looks. But space exploration, I mean... Listen, I don't know what is out there, but you have to think that there's something out there outside of Earth. Like, we can't be the only planet.
My question is, what's his driving factor for the space exploration other than the fact that it's space and it's intriguing and so on and so forth? Like, is it an energy source to fuel his businesses? Because my biggest question about kind of like current events in general, but if we're going to push between the infrastructure bill, the Green New Deal, taxing everybody per mile that they drive a non-electric car, like all these weird things, what's the goal in 30 years with the first 2 to 3 generations of Teslas when they basically go kaput? And what do we do with all the lithium batteries? Mm-hmm. Because that's a lot of batteries, and we have an issue now with disposing batteries. So if we're drilling holes in the ground for oil, and it's quote-unquote bad, what are we going to do with the millions of batteries for, like, I don't know, 100 Teslas? And that's not even to say how many Teslas have already been sold,
right.
and the millions of batteries that are already running around. Like, they took the first gen Model S and tested it after 10 years, and it's still 90% efficient on a charge, which is good. However, what happens when you're at 0 and then you have to get rid of those batteries? Because it's the same theory of we're going to run out of room.
Right.
You know, like, we're only here. So is that why he wants to go to Mars? Is that why he wants
so he can start throwing batteries at the airplane?
Well, I guess. Or, like, is it because he foresees that we're going to be forced to leave Earth because of our own disposal as a species? Like, what is his intent?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't... That's my question. So if we're pushing for all these things that are very small scale, like, if you buy a Tesla, are you really... You know what I mean? Are you really doing it?
No.
You're really doing it, Harry?
I just want to go 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds. That's all I want.
Well, then spend $130,000. But
right, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't understand what the big push for is, because you still have militaries that use diesel, and you still have countries that literally don't care. So I don't know.
I think he's doing it for the potential of another place to live. Because he's come out and said that there could be a time in life where we are inhabiting both planets, and that every 6 months you can travel back and forth, because that's when they align with the solar system. So that every 6 months they're the closest that they'll be, and then that's when you can go back and forth between them, like, intergalactically. So you can visit Earth and you can visit Mars and all that stuff. So I don't think it's necessarily malicious. I think that it is a situation where we could potentially be able to inhabit both areas for the betterment of everything. We got too many people on Earth as it is.
So I'm saying.
So get some people over to Mars. Let them...
Do you have to be vaccinated to go to Mars? So...
I don't know. There's probably a lot of 6 feet area between people over there.
Because there's certain planets you can't even land on because it's a gaseous planet. So but you can land on their rings or their moons. I don't know.
How many moons does Mars have?
I think 2.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, that'd be pretty interesting.
Hold on, let me look.
Drink up, bro.
How many moons does Mars have?
That would be very interesting. If you were
2.
offered...
I was right.
Okay, nice. Good job.
Also, the very first from the Apollo mission, the footprints, the very first footprints on the moon will last 1,000,000 years before they go away.
Why?
Because there's nothing to move anything in space.
I just want to go there and sweep now.
Oh my god. Patrick, cover our tracks. I'm on it, SpongeBob.
Would you go to the moon if you were able to afford it? Or Mars, if you were able to afford it?
I would go to the moon.
Not
honestly.
Mars.
What the hell are you going to do on Mars, man?
What are you going to do on the moon? It's all white.
I'm just going to look. No, it's all gray. I'm just going to look. Just be like, wow, it is round. And they get back in.
You can do that on Mars.
Well, yeah, but...
What's closer? Is that a dumb question?
Yeah, I think...
Is the moon closer?
I think the moon's closer than Mars.
Significantly? Well, yeah, because
Probably.
each planet has its own moon. That was a dumb question.
Well, yes and no, but I mean, is the moon closer than Mars?
Yeah, it has to be. We can't see Mars. We can see the moon.
If Mars did appear as large as the moon... Oh, well, yeah, okay. Wow. First of all, you have to take everything we say with a grain of salt, because you can see Mars at certain points and it's like a dot, and then you can see the moon like clear as day real close. So obviously the moon's closer to Mars, just from a perspective
But the moon
of
could have
looking
also
up.
been like a quadrillion times bigger than Mars, which is why we can see it.
If Mars did appear as large as the moon, it would be so close that it would cause tidal and gravitational effects. Mars has about twice the diameter of the moon, and hence would be about twice as far away for the same apparent size.
So it's real far away.
Yeah, so...
How long does it take to get to Mars?
Here's probably the best thing for the story. During the time period of the Earth is always about the same distance from Mars, whereas the moon spins around Earth. Every 14 days, it gets 500,000 miles closer to Mars.
So the moon's going away from us?
I guess. I don't know, man. What do you think? I work for NASA?
So is there going to be a day where we can't see the moon anymore?
I think there's going to be a day where we just all become atmospheric dust again because the sun explodes or sends out this like crazy beam of light that just incinerates everything on Earth.
This is going to be another dumb question because I don't remember the outline of the planet.
Hold on, let me pull up Google again.
We're closer to the sun than Mars is, right? Are we going towards the sun when we're going to Mars?
Is Earth closer to the sun than
I think
Mars?
so. I think Mars is behind us, right? One spot behind.
Hold on. It couldn't search because I typed fat-fingered.
Google's just like, you should know this, idiot. I'm not going to tell
Mars
you.
is on average about 50% farther from the sun than Earth is.
Yeah. All right, so I was right. I don't feel as stupid now that I asked that.
No, you're fine. But yeah, gamma rays is, I think, going to be the downfall of Earth. The gamma rays are going to reach out and touch us and just incinerate everything on Earth.
Where do gamma rays come from?
The sun. Yeah, it's basically just an explosion of energy, and it's a giant ring. They already seen them on telescopes.
Why do you think that we get skin cancer more than our ancestors?
Because our ozone layer is weak compared to what it was with our ancestors. Remember when we were in elementary school, they kept talking about how the ozone layer has holes in it, and the UV index is starting to matter if it's like a UV index of 9.
But wasn't there research that said the ozone layer is actually repairing itself?
Recently, but that was like basically after college that we found that out. But yeah, I mean, that was a huge greenhouse gases. That was a huge push when we were kids. And they're like, yeah, the ozone layer is getting weak, and it's all because of pollution, and you need to recycle, and like all this other stuff. And then we're like, okay, sure. And then I don't even think anything changed. I think it was still just a drastic decline. And then all of a sudden the ozone started repairing itself. Yeah. I don't, but yeah, that's
so do you think that that's real or fake? That pollution is destroying the ozone layer?
Oh, I'm sure it has an effect. Everything has an effect on everything,
But if I throw out a soda can and instead of recycle it, I'm really going to start getting cans.
The thing that bothers me about recycling is that you really don't recycle. Like,
correct.
The recycling that occurs is a fraction of its own productivity. Like, it really could be so much better, and it's not. And it's kind of aggravating.
Yeah.
But the other thing, too, is, like, why do people litter? It literally, like, it makes me sick to my stomach.
Right.
I get actually angry when I see people litter. It's so lazy. It's as lazy as the light behind me.
Right.
Just goes off. But, yeah, I don't... Did I take a sip since the second beep?
No, I don't think so. The people are lazy, and if it's inconvenient on them, they won't. Yesterday, I went disc golfing at Emery Park in Wales, and they took all the garbage cans away. So I had a beer out on the course, and I kept it in my backpack. It was spilling around and everything because I didn't have a garbage can to throw it out in. Mm-hmm. But there was stuff all over the place, all over the course. Pop bottles, like everything. It was disgusting. But they got rid of all the garbage cans, so I don't know why they did that.
Well,
it's stupid.
In Japan, they removed garbage cans and it forced people to carry their trash. In the U.S., people don't do that. Well, and they eliminated their pollution, littering issues in like the subways and public transport areas and things like that in Japan.
That would never work in the United States.
Correct. Just like how... just like... You got it. Dude, I'm literally going to start twitching. There you go. There are certain things that won't exist in the West, just like there's certain things that won't exist in the East. Like peace. So... I thought we were going straight with like the History Channel, where they're bringing in some like prison gang member who's talking about his gang and how he got out.
All right, Michael, tell us.
Yeah.
What do you think? I got a remote for these lights, so I'm just having a little fun. You want to go a little white? Oh,
yeah.
Boy.
Yeah.
Boy.
We got to kind of contrast what was going on with the
we can
above
go a
lights.
Little warmer. Jeez, I feel like I'm in a tanning better.
I know, seriously.
Let's go.
Turn it up high, Reggie. I want to burn.
We should have done this. What was the coldest temperature in Antarctica? And then, all right, how about Death Valley? What is it now? It's just like changing it. All right, sorry. Go back. What were we saying now? Oh, so it definitely would not fly in New York City if we just got rid of garbage cans.
No,
and we're
just in the U.S. in general. People are so lazy.
So you think it's a laziness thing?
1,000%. Look at returning shop cards.
Yeah.
Look at people's bodies in the United States. If you want to talk about laziness, like, sure, there's a couple people that, have legitimate reasons for being obese, but, like, you really don't.
Yeah, unless it's a medical issue.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of people that are obese that really have no excuse medically that's literally forcing them to be that size. Like,
And people say, like, I don't want to go
something.
down this route, but I kind of do. But people say all the time, like, body positivity. And, like, yeah, that's great. But you're
it's also not
killing
healthy.
yourself.
Yeah, correct. You're not promoting healthiness.
Yeah,
so
you're promoting
I don't know.
unhealthiness.
I get really upset because then everybody talks about medication, and, you know, I have my own opinions about Big Pharma. And
100%.
we're such an over-medicated country. The whole thing just drives me bonkers, but everything's fine. We're having fun.
How are you?
So, anyways, Kabul. So,
Yeah, really.
no, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Dude, something's going to happen.
Something is going to happen where people don't want it to happen regarding Taiwan, China, Russia, and the superpowers outside of the United States having mobility to do whatever they want. I don't think
Correct.
people understand the ginormous impact that a collapse in Afghanistan has on our national security, because it's only going to allow the countries that don't care about human rights to take over and take those natural resources, between the lithium, the fossil fuels, and then all the minerals and everything else that are in Afghanistan. The biggest thing, too, is that people forget the strongholds and their strategic bases that we had in Afghanistan were very close to borderline near-peer threats against us. And now we don't have that. The Taliban does. Specifically Iran. So we're not there anymore. And already China's pumping out propaganda, scaring everyone in Taiwan. Iran increased their uranium and nuclear program overnight. And all we're talking about is just trying to get out. And for the vast majority of Americans that have something negative to say about the U.S., the final airplane leaving the Kabul landing strip of people literally hanging on and falling to their deaths to try to get to the U.S., just remember that when you try to talk down about how bad the United States is.
Correct.
Even current affairs. Like, we all have our own opinions about federal government, state government, local government, town government, like all the way down the chain. Everybody has an opinion between left and right and things like that. And of course, people are going to make Afghanistan a political bickering fence, stand on the ground point where they basically try to prove that their side was right and they were on the right side of history. But in reality, it's a huge lesson for a lot of people to realize we still do have the greatest country in the world, because there's people from those countries that they want nothing else except to come to the U.S.
Right.
So it's just sad. The whole situation's sad. And there's a lot of people that have been asking me and texting me, can you please talk about it on the podcast? Like, I really don't want to talk about it on the podcast. For one, I never deployed there. So I can't speak to Afghanistan the same way that I can speak to other parts of the world that I literally spent a year's worth of time in. I know, like, it's hard to verbalize, but there's one thing to have your own opinion about a certain aspect, about a certain thing, but there's also the other point of the large picture of what's going on in the world. So I'd rather not dive into it, but, you know, destiny's all.
Yeah.
Destiny's all.
There's people that just don't understand why we were there in the first place, too. And it's just like, you don't know anything.
I think a lot of that is because of a lack of communication from the federal government.
Right.
Like, continue educating your own people about what we are actually doing over there and what we're doing in a positive way, instead of, you know, all these people died from IEDs, all these people died from, you know, a couple gunfights. But remember, too, we haven't had a casualty in Afghanistan, combat related, in 18 months. So, like, then that brings up the question of, then why are we there and what are we doing? And a lot of it is, we're still in Germany, we're still in Eastern Europe, we're all over the world, we're still, like, we have bases all over the place, including Italy, everything else, so that we still have a strategic viewpoint on that side of the world so that we can protect our own land. And a lot of people don't understand that, because a lot of people don't serve. It's 0.45% of the entire population, which is now 334 million people, have served in the military. They don't understand that, like, at one time, the U.S. Army is in 196 countries, like, or 191, whatever the number is. It's nuts. But that's a thing. And a lot of it is to protect us here so that you can go on your $1,000 iPhone and vent and have your own opinions and have that freedom to do that. And then, go back and forth about the vaccines or how Wegmans didn't have your coffee creamer or whatever it is.
Is that true that they're now making, or they want to make, like, talks about vaccines not working and the election fraud an actual domestic terrorist event? Did you see that?
No.
I saw it on Facebook, which clearly then it has to be true. But there was a picture that was circulating that said, like, ahead of the 9/11 20-year anniversary, they're making, like, they're focusing on vaccine skepticism and election fraud.
One party or just propaganda in general? Because I feel like that's also partly like a propaganda piece. But everything is. You know what I mean? Like, if we all just kind of, like, took a second, sat down and said, okay, how do we feel about A, B, and C, and then discussed it in person like adults, you would find a lot more common ground than you would on social media. And that's almost like a borderline fact at this point. Like, people just don't speak to each other. They just complain back and forth and have their own party talking points back and forth. But I don't know. It's just kind of sad.
I'm trying to find this, but I'm not sure.
It's probably buried in cyberspace. That's the other thing. People post nonstop.
It could also have been fake. It very well could have been.
Yeah.
But I saw it scrolling through, and I'm like, this can't be real.
Here's a conspiracy theory for you. I'll go through this. This is wild.
Yeah, there's no way that could be true.
Okay. So this is what they're trying. This is another semi-conspiracy theorist where things connect, okay? So soon, because if I say, like, specific dates, this isn't going to air in time, but there's going to be a vote. Try to follow me on this. A possible conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Just to let your brain just, like, go explode. All right, so in a couple days, they're going to be voting on a $1.2 trillion infrastructure and a $3.5 trillion budget that are deceptive that the Democrats have yet to pass. So in that is the lithium-ion battery to electric vehicle supply chain in 2020, where we're getting our batteries, and which, where we get batteries.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally where we get everything else in the history of the universe. So the bills...
Jenna.
Yeah. So the proposed bills would make AOC's Green New Deal a law, and it would destroy America's independence and enslave us to China. We'll be forced to drive electric vehicles by law, and all vehicles sold in the U.S. by 2030 will have to be electric only. So they're trying to get all vehicles away from natural gas and fossil fuels because of global warming and pollution and so on and so forth. So EVs operate with battery engines, obviously. China dominates the world's battery market at over 75%, and the U.S. only has a fraction of the entire process, ranging from 0 to 10%. So we would then depend on China to drive their cars. Batteries are made with rare earth minerals. China controls 80% plus of all of the Earth's rare mineral mines. Afghanistan has $1 trillion plus in rare earth minerals. Now they're saying, now do you get it? So us pulling out of Afghanistan the way we did now is basically to further cement the push for the Green New Deal, and then would basically put us back into debt with China. China's allowed to take over Afghanistan, take all the natural resources inside of Afghanistan. We were there for 20 years trying to do the diplomatic thing, and it was all a cover for the natural resources that we can be energy sufficient on our own. So that's one of the conspiracy theories coming out of the current affairs in the Middle East.
Jesus.
And the if that's true, because we know that the tax on mileage started with Buttigieg, who's the one guy that Biden put in charge of.
The mayor from South Bend.
Yeah. What's his new position though? He's like some.
I don't care.
Yeah, that was what he tried to do, was tax every mile you drive in a non-electric vehicle was going to get taxed, and then that didn't get passed. But then it appeared again in the most recent $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill, and 19 Republicans signed that. So then that sent Republicans into a tizzy because they're like, we can't afford that. And then on top of the 3.5 trillion, it worked its way up to 4.2 because it incorporated Bernie's plan And then it also incorporated AOC's plan, which would make it all law, which bumped it up to like 5.5 trillion. And then everyone's like, we can't afford any of this. But
where's this money coming from?
Our kids. And so, I don't know. I mean, and that's, it would cause inflation and all these things back and forth. But who knows? I mean, I don't know, man. Like, is it a conspiracy theory? Is it real life? No one from the federal government informs people.
Right.
They just kind of do their own political thing, and then we just go round and round and get upset. But it's all good because we have scotch and we drink it and try to get through as best we can.
Would you be more willing to donate or not donate, be taxed at a higher rate if you were able to choose where it goes?
I'm very old school and I'm against taxes.
But
to my core, I hate taxes.
But that's not an option. So when you're coming to this
but neither is what you're proposing.
You're able to be taxed. So the whole tax the top 1%, the top 1%.
Yeah.
If you tax them 40% or whatever, 60%, whatever you're thinking, if they can choose where that money goes, I would be. The problem with taxes is not the taxes part of it for me. I don't care paying money to hypothetically help a social infrastructure that is effective.
Right.
The issue is that this the tax money is going to these 5.3 trillion dollar infrastructure bills that have nothing to do with anything that we're doing. It's completely mismanaged. So would you be willing to be taxed at a higher rate if you knew that was going to, if hypothetically speaking, your federal taxes came down significantly, but your state income tax went up to help New York? Would you do that?
What I would like, if this is all hypothetical, leave the taxes the way they are, because we already have the most progressive tax system on earth.
Yeah.
So the top 1% loses 55 to 60 cents of every dollar they earn already. So you sit down to file your taxes every year, and then the federal government and the state government say you owe this amount in taxes. So then you show up with your check and you're like, okay, and then I'm going to go down to Route 5 or Route 20 or name the road with all the potholes, and I'm going to be like, I'm going to put this check here.
Right.
And then fix it. That would be cool, because then, you would solve things. I think that would be better instead of just you. No one knows. No one knows where any of their money goes.
Yeah.
And then no one sees anything because it's all digitalized.
Yeah.
So no one knows what the hell's going on with your own tax dollars.
Did we ever know in history? Did we ever know?
Probably when this country was... And then we went to war over it because they're like, hey, it was a stamp tax. It was a stamp
tax.
Yeah, stamp tax.
Kind of your way better, though. Tam stacks.
Yeah, there you go.
I like that.
So every single piece of paper got a stamp on it, and then it was like $1 or whatever the taxation amount was. And so if you went to a grocery store and they're like, okay, I'm going to scan this item, here's your receipt, stamp, I need $1. It's like, what are you talking about? And then that was what the British tried to impose to make up some of their money.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, well, okay, so that paper stamp tax isn't going to work, so why don't we just tax tea? And we're like, no, we drink whiskey and coffee. We don't want your stupid tea. And then we threw it in the harbor.
Right.
Because we knew what it was directly going to, and we're like, no, we don't want to do that. So then we went back and forth with the king, and then the king sent over his articles, and then we're just like, nah, and then sent it back.
That's what we signed. We're just nah.
Yeah. It's just like kiss my rump.
Good.
Yeah, and then it's like, okay, and then we told him, we're going to war. And then that's what happened. Then he sent over a couple ships. He got embarrassed, and then the French tried to get involved. Didn't necessarily work out for him. Yeah.
And we're like,
and
boom.
Then, yeah, basically, because they said it's a croissant, and then we're like, it's a croissant, and then we fought over that. But yeah, that's how the whole thing went down.
Yeah.
If people realized what actually their taxes went to, instead of, again, overtime for county employees and pork sandwiches.
Exactly, yeah.
It's not, we work too damn hard.
The rent is too damn high.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
But yeah, so the whole...
Upfront communication is needed from the top down, and it's not there. It's just not there.
Part of the argument against taxes is that, like, don't tax me, I'll donate. And a lot of people would. A lot of millionaires would donate far more if they weren't taxed as much as they are.
Yeah.
But the issue is that not everybody would donate. So then you have people that are unfairly not contributing, which I understand. I understand the reason for taxes. I get it. But we should be able to donate to our cause of choice to then affect what we see, because all the money we don't even see. There's potholes on William Street that are still not filled since I was born. Since my voice dropped, it's still not filled.
Right.
So our money's going nowhere.
It's the same in where the manhole covers are on Union, in the right lane. You know when to swerve right so you can drive over them and not blow out a tire.
Yeah. My tie rod's shot.
Yeah, but don't worry. They built a new library that's $2 million over budget with a Spot Coffee in there. I mean, just stop. Like, what is this? But we got a new fire station?
Yeah.
Fix the road, bud. You know, like, whatever. It's fine.
Do you have any more questions? We're coming up on our time.
Yeah, the last question is recommend a TV show outside of Schitt's Creek, and I would recommend The Last Kingdom.
I would say Manifest. That is a really good show so far. We are 2 seasons in.
So not that one.
Nailed it.
Not Manifest, not Schitt's Creek, and The Last Kingdom I would recommend. And what else for you?
Ted Lasso. It is hilarious. I binged the entire thing. Have you heard of it?
No.
So Ted Lasso.
Well, outside of you texting me.
Ted Lasso is the main character is Jason Sudeikis, and he is a college football coach who then goes to be a coach of an English soccer team, one of the elite English soccer teams, and it's a comedy. It's hilarious, dude. I don't want to tell you anymore because it's a really good storyline of it, but Jason Sudeikis is just a mastermind. I love his character in it, and it is him like trying to adapt to the English culture, but he's so like he has such a likable personality, so everybody just like kind of gets magnetized towards him, and it's such a funny show. It's only on Apple TV though, which is an issue. So Apple TV costs obviously to do. Gina got like a 6-month free trial somehow. I don't know what strings she pulled, but we got it for 6 months, and I'm binge watching it. I watched the whole first season and 4 episodes of the second season because that's all that's out right now in a day and a half. Killed it. It's very good. I do highly recommend that. Even get like the 1-week trial. You'll finish it in a week. The episodes are only 20 minutes long. There's 10 episodes in the first season. They're on the 4th episode in the second season now because they do weekly releases to kind of keep you in the loop, you know, like keep pulling you in. But yeah, so try it out or wait until the second season is done filming. That way you can watch all of it in the week. Classics:
Prison Break, White Collar, The Blacklist. Other recommendations you can watch.
Oh yeah,
and enjoy.
I like it. Is that the last question?
Yeah, that was it.
Love it. You're at an hour and 1 minute with a little bit of a disruption, but we're fine.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, we already, in the beginning, I talked about our podcast and where to promote and how to show appreciation, so we're good.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for joining. This has been episode 101. 104, we got some good stuff coming for you. We got some analytics. We have another announcement for you of different ways that you can help support us, so stay tuned for that. Then we're going to do a little bit of a whiskey tasting where we're going to have different types of whiskey, not the same type of whiskey, different types of whiskey, so Mike and I can walk through what we're tasting, how it's different from other whiskeys, and kind of guess on which one's which. So look out for that too. That's going to be episode 104 coming up in a few weeks. We kind of went hard. You and I sat down and we're like, you know what, we need more content. And then we basically exposed ourselves and we're like, give us content. And the heavens dropped down and we're like, here you go. So now we have content for the foreseeable future for Fridays.
Kind of, but yeah, we still need to keep working because it's going to run up quick.
Yeah.
So
you're taking another vacation, nerd.
The honeymoon. But yes, if you are a small business owner and you want to be featured on our show, and you are local, please let us know. And then if you are a fan and listener of our show and you want to recommend another small business in our area, please let us know, and we will do everything we possibly can to have them on. So thank you so much for everyone's time. We will see you next week. So
this has been episode 104. Everybody, if you 101, I lied. If you want to try the whiskey that we've been drinking today, this is Balvenie Single Malt Scotch. finished in a Caribbean cask. So go check that out. Go buy yourself a bottle. And we also released the Wednesday Whiskey Review last Wednesday, so you can check out what we thought about it there. And please remember, if you are drinking this, to drink responsibly, be a good person, and Michael,
do not litter.
We're out.